Howdy everyone, it's Zach here, and today I'm bringing you the first of hopefully many weeks of Npdl battle recaps. So, those of you who don't know, the Npdl is probably my primary league, the league that I'm closest with the guys there. Fantastically run league, absolutely love playing there. And we got a new season starting, so I figured with, Metafy and all that, I figured it'd be good to kind of have some of my own battles up on the internet. And what better way to do that than with playing some of my closest friends in the Draft League community. So if you're here for this content, if you want to see more, let me know in the comments. As always, if you want to book a session on Metafy, you like what you're seeing here, you're interested in Pokemon Draft, anything like that, my links will be in the description. So in our week 1 match, we're going up against the Minnesota Mawwild, coached by Soybean, which is the brother of the terrifying Sorbs, who has terrorized many a league, a very phenomenal player. But this is Soybean's first game in our league. He came in as a new player, and we get to face him week 1, which is always hit or miss for me, because I really like knowing how people play before I play them. So this was a bit of a wild card game. It definitely could have gone either way. So his team is up here on the right. We'll see the Houndoom Mega, the Galvantula, Simisage, Excadrill, Articuno, Gallade, Togekiss, Tyranitar, Jellicent, and Drampa. So I will have my 6 on here. I will show you kind of my sets, my thought process going into the game. Very brief. I could talk about this stuff all day if I wanted to. And then go into the battle, doing a bit of a post-com review there. So first Pokemon that we're bringing here, as you can see on the screen, Aegislash. We're bringing a weakness policy, a Tautomized 3 attack set, because pretty much these 3 attacks have no resistances on his team. If for whatever point in the game I'm able to get the +2 speed, the 100 speed allows me to outspeed Houndoom at +2, and I get my weakness policy popped by, Houndoom, Earthquake from Excadrill, Knockoff from Gallade, Heatwave from Togekiss, Crunch from Tyrant, all these moves that can do that, and I don't get, statused or burned or paralyzed or anything like that, I could potentially win on the spot. So that was my goal for this game, to try to set up that Aegislash win in the end game, because Close Combat, Iron Head, and Shadow Claw, those 3 moves really run through his team. So that was the goal with Aegislash. Then we have Feeny, Tapu Fini. We're running Specs because the only fair resist on Soybean's team is the Excadrill, which obviously is weak to Surf. So to maximize that, I pretty much just wanted to hit as hard as possible. We have enough speed to outspeed Gallade. Rest in HP, uninvested in special attack, but that's kind of what the specs help boost. A little bit in defense and Spadef, and then Moonblast, obviously, Surf, obviously, Draining Kiss, Intense, in case I wanted just to get a kill, get a little bit of health back, pretty niche option, and then Trick if I wanted to potentially cripple a Jellicent or set up T-Tar or a Togekiss or something like that. Probably wouldn't be clicking that either, but this is just used to take hits from Houndoom. We take any Sludge Bomb, not at +2, so that's a little bit of a risk, but take hits from Excadrill, Tyranitar, all that stuff. Then we have Vikavolt, which is primarily used for the ground immunity, because Excadrill will probably be Sand Rush on this team, because he has the Tyranitar to set up Sand. So we're able to levitate away from the ground moves and resist the Iron Head. He's only able to hit us with a Rock Slide, which we live, I believe, with the 204 defense. I think we live a +2 Adamant, Life Orb, or Rock Slide. I think that's the calc. So we're really defensive, a lot in defense with a modest nature to boost that special attack as much as we can. A little bit of speed to prevent a speed creep from Drampa should he bring it. And then we're running Bug Buzz, pretty obviously, to go through subs, hit stuff like Simisage, Tyranitar, Gallade the hardest. Full Switch for momentum purposes pretty exclusively. And then we have Mud Shot for Excadrill and potentially Houndoom. And then Roost to keep ourselves healthy. Boots, we don't have to worry about potentially getting rid of rocks, specifically for Vikavolt to take that chip to put us in range of Excadrill. Then we have Whimsicott, so we're running Boots Whimsicott as well, kind of as our defogger. Again, no real solid fair resist outside of Excadrill, so Moonblast is the only really attack that we need here. And then we have Defog, because he has a couple good rockers with Drill and T-Tar, as well as webs from Galvantula, and those can kind of wreck with some of my plans, especially with Aegislash, so I wanted to get rid of those and not be hindered by them, so Prankster Defog pretty much always goes off. And then U-Turn and Memento, both to try to keep momentum and set up potentially for that late game Aegislash sweep, or potentially for Drapion, which is our next Pokemon. We're running an Endure Salix set. In a very, very bulky Drapion. So at +1 with a 64 speed, we outspeed his entire team, including Houndoom, not including Drill and Sand. And Drapion, similarly to Aegislash, has very few switch-ins. So the only thing, I'm just gonna kind of run through it. Earthquake hits the Houndoom. Galvantula and Simisage both get hit really hard by Poison Chab. Earthquake hits Drill. Articuno really gets hit just by knockoff or Poison Jab. They both do a lot. That's Glade really takes a lot from Poison Jab. It can't switch in. Togekiss gets hit. Tyranitar gets hit by Earthquake. Jellicent gets knocked off, and Drampa gets hit with Poison Jab as well. Can't switch in. So Drapion, if I get it in, puts a lot of pressure on his team to switch in well. Because if he gets it wrong, or I guess if I get the switch in right, he can lose a Pokemon. And then the Salic Berry is specifically for Houndoom as a check. So if Houndoom is in versus me, instead of switching out to something, I Endure, get the Salic, and then I can kill him with an Earthquake or force him out. And pretty much I just don't want to have to switch out versus Houndoom, because that is a very large threat to my team, which is why we're bringing our last Pokemon, Machoke, which is pretty much just the anti-Houndoom, as much as I can on this team. So it's a Rest Talk set, no other recovery. I need to be able to take multiple hits. And then we have Toxic and Close Combat. I only really needed Close Combat because the only things that I'm really going to be concerned with are the Houndoom and then potentially like the Excadrill T-Tar Core. And Close Combat hits all of those. And then Toxic for the other stuff because, you know, this set is potentially walled by like Jellicent, obviously walled by Togekiss, all those other mons. So just if I'm able to get a Toxic off, that's super solid for me. So again, the game plan is not losing to Drill and Sand, not losing to a Nasty Plot Mega Houndoom, keeping webs off if he brings Galvantula, and then just slowly whittling through Jellicent, Togekiss, those defensive mons. So let me go ahead and switch over to the battle. So on Team Preview, we see pretty much what I expected, except for Simisage, which is a bit of an odd bring. I'm not that worried about it. I have stuff for it, but so no Galvantula, which means no webs, which is super nice. No Togekiss, which I absolutely hate facing Togekiss. So I don't have to deal with the unpredictability or the Air Slash, T-Wave shenanigans or anything like that. No Articuno, which means no Defog. So his only hazard control on this team is going to be that spin from Excadrill if he has it. So any, you know, stuff on my side is there to stay, which I don't have in this matchup, so that's really not big of a deal because I'm not bringing webs. And then no Drampa, which I expected. So again, we've gone over the game plan. It's set up Aegislash, whittle stuff down, get Drapion in if I can, and then try to just shut down Houndoom and Drill long enough to get the win. So I'm just going to play this on slow. I may need to adjust or pause or stuff like that if need be. So I lead Whimsicott because it outspeeds everything on his team and has momentum. And he leads Simisage. I thought about Scarf Gunk Shot. I didn't think that was something he'd bring. That was just a judgment call. So you turn out, I go into Drapion to try to scout that. As we see Sub, I'm like, great, this thing gets no ground coverage. Can't beat me, as we see Leftover, so it's not a boosting item or anything like that. He goes for a knockoff and gets rid of my Slackberry, so that strategy for taking on Houndoom goes out the window turn 2, which is okay, but we break this up with a Poison Jab, and like I said, now he has to switch into Drapion. So he ends up going Delayed on the... Oh, I went for knockoff, and that does 72%. So now Glade switches out into Excadrill. I thought about Poison Jabbing, but I thought knockoff would be better, and that takes 52. So at this point, Drapion has already taken 2 mons in range of a lot of things. So we're able to get that turn right. I forget, I think I mud-shot it here. Yep. So we got that 50% chip on Houndoom already as well. So I'm just going to pause it here. That was mostly for Excadrill. That wasn't a predict. I thought about Volt switching, but I thought that was way too risky. So at this point in the game, Simisage is at 60%, Glade is at 28, Houndoom is at 48, and Excadrill is at 48 with no Life Orb. So at this point, with Drapion providing the offensive pressure that does, his team is already incredibly whittled, and Jellicent is the only one that has reliable recovery outside of Leftovers. So I think Glade might have Wish, but no one's running Wish Glade. So at this point, we're already in a really good spot. However, the Houndoom is in, and even though it has the -1 speed, we still get outsped, so we have to switch and find a solution here. So I decide to go into Machoke. because exactly this can happen. He makes a really good predict and sludge bombs, which is what I didn't want to go Feeny because that can two-shot me. So he gets the poison, that doesn't matter. He obviously doesn't want to stay in, and I just decide to rest off that. I just want to be at full health. I can sleep talk a close combat. So I go hard Drapion here. I didn't think he would scald because it doesn't make sense to scald a Machoke that's sleeping. Try for a burn. So we eat that Shadow Ball and we're able to go Houndoom. I don't predict it. I thought about it, but we just go for the safe knockoff trying to get rid of that Jellicent. So we go into the Feeny here on the Destiny Bond, which was a super cool play from him. Didn't end up working out. There's the Sludge Bomb. Does so much, and we're able to get rid of the Houndoom. So that was played around fantastically. I'm really glad I went Machoke the first time because I didn't want to risk the obvious Feeny answer. So Jellicent comes in, obviously. So we go hard Drapion again on the Shadow Ball. Same thing. I can't get burned because of Misty Terrain, so there's nothing Jellicent can really do to me in Misty Terrain, which is why I switched into Drapion. So he goes T-Tar. I just knock again. We get rid of the Smooth Rock. So now, after Sand goes away, it's only the 5 turns, which is super nice for Drill. I just go Feeny as kind of a stack to see what he wants to do, and he's actually Dragon Dance. So this was probably the most stressful turn of the game. I saw the Smooth Rock, so he's not Life Orb. I have no idea what he has. He could have Earthquake for Drapion, which kills me at +1. He can run... I don't think 2 Earthquakes kills Machoke, but I have to risk a Sleep Talk Close Combat, and I can just get 1v1 or he can Dragon Dance again. Obviously, Vikavolt will die to a Stone Edge. This is chipped. So at this point, I'm like, crap. I might have to hope for like an Encore on Whimsicott into playing around it somehow, mementoing. So this was a really scary bring. But I end up just sacking Feeny here, I think, to a Stone Edge. Yep, so he hits the Stone Edge, Feeny goes down, all good. It took out the Houndoom, so that's what I needed it to do. So I end up going hard Machoke here. I don't really need it for anything else, it was for Houndoom. He ends up, I think, making the smart play, switching into Jellicent, not risking anything like that. I Sleep Talk because I have Rest. And we get a Toxic off. Now, this is a very fortunate Sleep Talk. I would have been fine getting Close Combat or Rest. It wouldn't have been the end of the world, but a Toxic off on Jellicent is better than no Toxic on Jellicent, and now he's going to be whittled down by Sand and the Toxic. So I didn't really necessarily need chip on it for Aegislash, but it means I might not have to get the weakness policy off if I get it whittled enough. And this also means I'm burning sleep turns, which is super huge. So Jellicent can Hex me, which could do a lot of damage, especially because I'm asleep, but I elect to stay in. He goes back into Tyranitar as I switch out into Drapion on the Jellicent again. Probably pretty predictable, but it's a safe play. At this point, I just want the chip. I know I outspeed as he sets up a Dragon Dance again. So I just have to bite the bullet, I think, and sack Drapion here. And he has... Oh, no. I go... Okay, I remember why I did that. So I was looking at the calcs, and from where Machoke was, I don't think I was taking into account Sand, but I thought I could live 2 hits if he went for Earthquake there. So he ends up going for Stone Edge, which does 34. I take Sand. Okay, I think I'm thinking of a different turn. Yep, so we Sleep Talk there. It doesn't matter what I get. Toxic. So we force the Tyranitar out again. So Tyranitar really can't switch in again. So at this point, Drill's low, Tyranitar's low. He probably gets one more go with Sand. And especially because Gallade is so low, which would be his only other win condition, I'm feeling really confident about an Aegislash sweep. I just have to not lose to either of these two. So I'm playing very paranoid around letting those in for free. So I Sleep Talk a Toxic, that doesn't matter. I elect to just hard switch here because because I live any boosted hit from Tyranitar at this range, I would rather not be asleep and have to risk sleep turns and just because I have the sacks at this point. Just get Machoke in safely and close combat without going to sleep. So I go Vikavolt here. I didn't want Drapion taking chip because Misty Terrain's gone. He could go for Scald, stuff like that. But he just goes for another Shadow Ball. Does a solid chunk. He's getting worn down by Poison, which is super big as well. And I elect to go for Volt Switch because I'm not scared of Excadrill coming in. And I'm able to kill Tyranitar. So Tyranitar goes down. And I just bring in hard Machoke because I wake up this turn and I want to scare Excadrill. I wanted to go something that would make Excadrill not want to set up. So, and I don't need Machoke really for anything else on his team. So again, Tyranitar's dead. His bout with Sand is done. So he goes Excadrill. His Life Orb is gone, and he goes for Iron Head. And he does not flinch, and we get the kill with close combat. So I think Earthquake killed. Based on the Iron Head damage, I think Earthquake would have killed. I don't know if this was a roll. I forget if he was adamant or not. But, so I think Earthquake was likely the play. Just because I don't know what the roll was. It could have been I got a super fortunate roll, but I lived with 9. So it couldn't have been that fortunate. Or it could have been fortunate, but it wouldn't have had that high percentage of a chance to kill. So, but at this point, we live, Excadrill goes down, and at this point he has a Toxic Jellicent, a weakened Simisage, and a weakened Gallade. So, Machoke is whittled down. I switch into Vikavolt. I guess I just wanted to keep that as a sack. And I'm pretty sure I live any 2 hits, and I could just get a slow Volt Switch off, except for this Shadow Ball crits me, and my Vikavolt goes down. Not the end of the world, but Vikavolt goes down to the crit Shadow Ball, and at this point, I think it's prime to bring out Aegislash. The only thing that could have stopped this, I think, is a Scald Burn, but at this point, anything is in range regardless, and he shows Shadow Ball to try to get the most damage off. Procs weakness policy, so now I'm doubled speed, so I outspeed everything on his team with the boosted attack as well. And I just go for Iron Head, just in case. I went Iron Head because I would rather have the Curse Body on that than Shadow Claw, but at that point it didn't really matter. We just Iron Head 3 times, and the game is over. So a very good game. I definitely think, just from a post-game perspective, I think this series of turns was super pivotal. So when I break the sub here, and then this series of turns becomes very pivotal. I think sacking Simisage was the play here. I don't see a universe where Simisage does a whole lot, especially if it's sub knockoff with the leftovers. It doesn't have a lot of offensive pressure. So I think if he would have sacked Simisage, he would have had Gallade at full. And then when he switched in Excadrill, he would have kept his Life Orb, which would have been really scary for me because it would have gotten that kill on Machoke. It would have gotten a lot more kills that it wouldn't have before. But instead, I'm able to get Gallade down in a 2-shot. And then I think because he was trying to preserve Gallade, he went into something else that could take a knockoff. So his drill got knocked off. And at this point, my matchup was super favorable because the Life Orb was gone, Gallade was chipped, and Simisage wasn't really a threat. So I think if I would offer any kind of advice, I think it would be that. I think there was a little too much preservation of certain mons when a sack into something else coming in safely would have been better. But regardless, I mean, I think his predicts with Houndoom were super good. The Destiny Bond was really cool. I did not expect that to come at all. But and then the only other thing, I think he played fine with Tyranitar. This Stoner's predict was fine. Yeah, the only thing with Jellicent, it was such a good wall, but it was such a momentum suck just because, well, it only showed Shadow Ball, so I don't know what its full set was. But I had mons that could switch into Shadow Ball for days, and then I got momentum from that. So I think it just kind of sucked momentum from him. This was a really good play because he ended up getting Tyranitar on Drapion and then getting that Dragon Dance. But again, I think just the preservation of things that are at, like in here, Tyranitar's at 24%. I think just the preservation of things when getting something else in safer would have been a better call. But the game plan went fantastically. We were able to get the Aegislash sweep, and we start off the season with a nice 4-0. Good games again to Soybean. Not a lot of hacks, which I always like. And with that being said, again, if there's more content you want to see, I'm going to try to keep doing these every week for the Npdl, potentially branch out to other leagues. But if there's anything else you want to see, please let me know. And as always, my Metafy and my DMs are always open. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day.